All right. So generally what we do is we'll have the artist introduce themselves and then say that, like in your case, this would be episode 124 of the Sit Down podcast. And then I'll use that up at the top of the show. Like I'll cut it, use it at the intro. I also have another idea of at the start. I was thinking of saying something come Christiane et would I say Christiane et moi, or would I say moi et Christiane? I would say something like moi et Christiane, on a pensé de faire le podcast en français, mais Marc peut pas parler français. So pour cette podcast, on va le faire en anglais pour vous autres qui veulent attendre.
Hey there, this is Christie-Anne Blondeau, and I am from Regina. This is episode 124 from the Sit Down podcast.
Boom. Easy breezy.
Awesome. That was the whole official
from.
Whatever.
It's from, okay? From.
Well,
you want to redo it?
You're part of the herd now. You're part of the family now. So you're from the Sit Down podcast now. You know what I mean?
Okay, we're good to go. Let's do it.
Muse Canada, an inclusive, nationwide collective for all arts, culture, and entertainment communities to provide communication, opportunity, and resources through networking and essential activism. In plain English, that means if you are a musician and you need album artwork, there are graphic designers in the network. If you need a music video done, there are also videographers. Or if you are working on a video that needs music, there are musicians in the network as well. So if you go to muse-canada.ca and you sign up and you use the discount code FunkyMoose2021, you'll get a discount when you sign up.
Right on. So thank you and welcome to the show, Christiane. We are very honored to have you with us, and long time no see. We actually, like, it's been a while.
Joelle, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on your podcast. I have to say that I've never been on a podcast.
Well, there you go.
This is my first time.
Awesome.
Yes. So thank you guys for having me.
I don't think we've actually met before.
No, oh, that's not. So that's my apologies. So Christiane and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you've babysat me maybe back in the day.
No.
I remember hanging out at your house. But I don't.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. I know why, because you were in Danielle's class, in my little brother's class.
So, right. So then I would have been at your house
his
for
birthday party or something like that.
Something like that.
I was going to say, maybe the last time that I saw Joelle, he was in diapers. No, maybe not that long ago, but
she changed my diapers. No.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
No, let's not start that rumor. I did not change your diapers. Come on, man.
So that's my apologies. Which is why I kind of just took that for granted, because I've known her for so long that I just presume everybody around the area knows each other, right? So
well, and I've heard your name. I know you're a singer, and I know you're from around here. I know part of your family. We just never met, I think.
Okay.
Well, Mark,
I don't think
Poppen. This is Christie-Anne Blondeau.
Hi, nice to meet you.
This is my buddy Mark.
Hi, nice to meet you. Hello, Mark.
Right on. So, as I said before, we've known each other. Actually, I should say, Christie-Anne et moi, on a pensé de faire le podcast en français cette soir, mais parce que Marc peut pas parler français, on a décidé de le compléter en anglais, I think.
Je comprends.
Mais,
I see.
Hey, Joël, as-tu remarqué à quel point Marc a bien dit « je comprends ». Je pense qu'il te ment et qu'il comprend tout.
Ben,
what do you think, Mark?
Let's not do that.
I was just saying that the way that you said whatever you said it very, very well. So I said, I think that he actually does understand everything.
Not everything.
Yeah.
Not everything.
But just the important things, which are the swear words, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. As a lot of people in this area do.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, well, I was going to say, you know, as a Canadian, we're actually known for the dual language, right? Like it's French and English, like stop signs both say stop and arrête on it. But Mark is Canadian, but he's got a cheat code to get to be Canadian.
What?
Don't you have like a Canadian membership card thing or whatever the hell it is?
Membership. It's called a permanent residence card.
Right. So that makes you Canadian, right?
No, I don't, because I don't have a passport.
Joelle, I'm so sorry. That was very small part of you.
Hey,
I'm gonna use that.
So Canadian
Mark,
membership.
I have a Canadian membership.
Yeah, I'm a Canadian member. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, but it's
awesome.
funny because we do in Holland we do have French in school, so I know the basics and whatever, and I've been hanging around in Bellevue long enough to pick up on a lot of it. And I remember when the restaurant was still open, we were sitting at a table with a bunch of people, and there was, I won't throw her under the bus, but she was sitting in front of me, and she was, you know, talking to me.
Well, you can say it, but cover your mouth, and I'll bleep it out.
No, maybe after.
I like doing those things.
But so we were talking and, you know, getting to know each other, and my wife was sitting beside me, so she starts talking to my wife about me in French. You know, how funny it is that I don't understand French. And Jennifer looks at me and I look at her and I was like, well, I totally understood that. And she just
beat red.
Okay. So I always try to keep it under wraps that I understand French.
Right.
Because that makes it funny for me.
Right. Well, the thing is a lot of like, I've seen that a lot before too. And I think that's a very rude thing to do. Talking about somebody right in front of them in another language.
It wasn't that she was being a dick about it, but it was like,
and I had that thought process as well, because like, you know, somebody older, like an older generational person, like that's their little joke, you know, they're trying to be funny. Nous autres on va parler français, puis Marc va pas notre comprendre, and it's like it's not that funny.
Like we just did.
Yeah, we totally did.
Yeah.
And then,
you know, I have that happen all the time. I was just gonna say I have that happen all the time, but like on stage and stuff, if I'm doing music in French, odds are my musicians are Anglophones. So if I'm doing a French show, I'll say, you know, I'll tell him that my musicians don't speak French, but I'll either do a joke about it, but my musicians know exactly what I'm going to be saying and what I'm going to be doing, so that there's no surprises. And normally we will actually like make the joke about it. Like my musician now, in one of what I normally do in French, is I say, you know, yes, I speak French. I come from a little town, and but my musician here does not speak or understand French. Although he can play the bass in French so well, I've taught him every note in French.
Yeah.
So yeah, people find that funny.
Heck yeah, that's perfect. And actually, so yes, for the watchers and listeners out there, we had added Christie-Anne to the bill of Moose Fest. So we reached out to you. We wanted to work, like get some, like we were from a French community, right? So it really made sense to have a French artist come and perform. That way we're kind of like, I guess, paying homage to our community as well, right? Mm-hmm. And you've been in the industry for years. Christie-Anne, I still have one of your first CDs, and I've sent you pictures of that. Like, I still got that. So to me, it just like, well, holy shit, like you're still in it. Why not get you? Like, I still call you local. So I think that like the idea of you coming out to play our second Moose Fest is fire. Like, I couldn't be more happy for being able to work.
I think it's fantastic as well. And I'm trying to put myself in that position right now. And I'm trying to imagine it. And then I don't know, I kind of get a little bit nervous. Like I don't get nervous when I perform at all, ever. It's been years since I've been nervous. So I've gotten that under control, no problem. But when I think of, I don't know, going back to those original roots, I'm thinking, okay, there are going to be certain expectations maybe, and people who used to know me when I was, when I was singing as a kid in church. They'll remember me from doing that. They'll remember me from when we were doing the bands with Freddie Pelletier at Bellevue School, or an after school program. And they haven't necessarily followed me throughout my entire, musical career. So I don't know, I kind of feel a little bit nerve wracking at the same time, excited. I'm doing something kind of new, but not in a sense, just with the musician that I'm working with. That part is new. The material is kind of new, and we'll probably be able to get into those details. So all that kind of adds a little bit more nervousness, I find.
Oh, it makes total sense. I totally get it too. And like, I think that's a common thing where like your home roots, like you get the support from your locals, quote unquote, but they know the artist on a different level. Like I'll give you an example of what the point I'm trying to make, I guess. But
that's not uncommon.
No, that's like just it. Like that's kind of
like
normal.
Some musicians play huge stages, like arenas, and then they come back home. It's like, oh, right, I know you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's like, I was talking with from the other night.
Who?
And he was telling me, we were talking about the similar thing about that, because we were talking about like ticket sales of Moose Fest, like locally, and he's been signed to a bigger label in the past, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, we could go out to like a sold out crowd in like Alberta or whatever, sell out a show of like 800 seats, and then we come to our small town Sask to play, like, I'll pick a name, it's not an accurate one, but let's say we're coming to Prince Albert to play the show, and like there's maybe 150 people there, and it's like, not that there's no support from there, but to come see them, it's like you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't think it's an uncommon thing. So that being said, I would say don't let the nerves rack you too much, because there are some local tickets that have been sold, but I will also say that there's more outside tickets than there are local ones, so I wouldn't worry about it at all.
I'll try not to lose any sleep over
it. This episode of the Sit Down Podcast is brought to you by Inspired Vapor Company, which is a company that helps people stop smoking.
That's right, guys. If you're out there smoking and you're struggling, drop the darts. These guys, Blaine and Kevin Tates, who own the company, are there. They can answer any of your questions. They can help you transition from cigarettes to vaping and then to nothing. Couple of class act guys. I highly recommend you reach out to them. You can order online and have the product shipped right to you.
And they have 3 locations in Saskatchewan, one in Melfort, Prince Albert, and in Humboldt, but also online at inspiredvaporcompany.com.
That's right. So whether you're in the store or online purchases, or making an online purchase, use the promo code Moose10 for 10% off, you guys. Heck yeah. So can we get into, like, you said you're kind of working on something new right now. Can we talk about that a little bit? Like, who's the artist you've got and what are you guys doing?
For sure. It's new, but not new at the same time. So I'll dive into, I'll give a little bit of history first.
Okay.
So almost 6 years ago, a musician that I did not know reached out to me, and he had an idea and really wanted to go with it. So he plays the string bass, like the big double bass, stand-up bass. And he introduced himself, and he's like, hey, this is my project. Your name was given to me by a mutual friend. Just wondering if you'd be interested. So his vision was just to have the upright bass with a singer. That's it. So just a duo. So I'm like, okay, I don't know this guy from a hole in the ground, but mutual friend is reliable. So I'm like, I've got absolutely nothing to lose. Like, how often was I doing shows before? Like, barely. I could count, certain events like in the Francophone community. And it was really not, there was barely anything in English. It was especially in the Francophone community. So certain big events a couple of times a year. So there was nothing consistent. So I'm like, maybe this will open up a few doors. And it's been amazing ever since. We've had show after show after show. We're just two of us, so the budget can be smaller for venues. You can put us in a corner and we don't need a big setup. I mean, the instrument itself is big, but there's one. So like sound system, there's nothing to set up. So we're really simple, low key. People see us and they're like, wonder, they don't know what to expect, but at the same time, you kind of get those looks like, oh, it's gonna be this kind of jazz crowd, isn't it? So we kind of get those looks, and then we start playing these covers, and they're like pop tunes. They're like Michael Jackson, Elton John, the Beatles, all on the double bass and vocals, and people are like,
yeah, yes,
oh my god! And then they just kind of fall in love with the whole thing. So it's been a roller coaster ride. It's been amazing. And that's what we've been doing. And it's 98% of it has been in English, but we do have quite a bit of material in French. And a lot of times we're going to try to find songs that actually exist in both French and English.
Nice.
So yeah, so like less than a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, we actually had a show in Saskatchewan and they just wanted 2 French sets. So we didn't quite have that material, and I translated a couple of songs, found a couple of additional songs that didn't know existed, but found them in French. And there you go. We got some popular songs that people know in English, and here they are in French. So they're like, whoa. So that's the history side of it. So with that being said, Joanne, when you guys reached out to me, I wasn't quite feeling that this would be a good vibe necessarily. Maybe not this year, not sure. So we're going to feel that out this year and maybe next year, we'll see. But instead, I thought that it was really interesting, the simplicity of a duo. So that's number one. Number two, there's a group that you guys have brought on board called the Hour Hands. Coincidentally, Cole, a member of Our Hands, I know him. A couple years ago, he commented that he absolutely loved my voice and that if ever, wanted to work together, hit him up. So I'm like, he's going to Bellevue. I'm going to Bellevue. This kind of makes sense here. So let's see if Cole is interested. Seeing he's already going, let's see if he's interested. And I took him up on his offer, I guess you could say. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So that's kind of how it all came about.
Freaking rights. I love that kind of stuff where it's almost like I don't want to be tacky here and say like the stars are aligning, but it's like it's that vibe of shit's going well, like shit's happening the way it's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
And all the pieces are falling into the right places.
It's also that sense of community. Like Christie-Anne wants to come here and she knows Cole is coming. So why not team up?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. It's like, okay, well, if I was bringing my own musician, okay, well, what are we going to do for, let's say, accommodations or, I don't know. It felt like it was a little bit more complicated than it needed to be. We could totally simplify it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I was going to say something else there too. Oh, I was going to say how, correct me if I'm wrong in anything that I say here, but you're currently working with, I'm not sure the terminology there, for School of Rock out of Regina. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. There is a school that is called School of Rock, the only one in Saskatchewan. And yes, a lot of people have seen the movie School of Rock, and the US company actually existed before the movie came out. the movie came out because of the School of Rock school. So yeah, Cole and I actually worked at School of Rock at the same time. So that's how we officially met. And then, I mean, we're teachers, so I'm coaching vocals. He's coaching on guitars. We actually had one, if not two, mutual students. And where he really heard me sing, because we're each in our classroom and we barely have a second, like as we're crossing paths in the hallway, it's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, hey, I'm Cole. Okay, hey, see ya.
Right.
So other than staff meetings and stuff like that, and it's not a full-time job. It all depends on how many students you want to take on. So it all depends on the days. But regardless, we had an event at School of Rock for where the staff members actually were the band. And yeah, that's where Cole heard me sing, and Cole was playing guitar. Cole actually was singing back vocals on one of the songs as well. So I helped him with that. And yeah, we kind of got along, and yeah.
Freaking rights. I do also want to mention that there is another gentleman from School of Rock who will be performing at Moose Fest this year. Do you know who it is? I don't know if I told you. I don't, for those of you watching or listening, like Mark and I are best buddies, but like we don't disclose everything to each other.
But we don't ever talk.
Yeah,
Like it,
right?
He spews all of this nonsense at me, and he shares random Instagram videos, but the important stuff that we're talking about on the podcast he fails to mention.
Well,
So,
I save it for the show to spring it on him. But Mitch Fraser from King for a Day.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, like, yeah. So I if I'm not mistaken, Christie-Anne, I don't know like if you guys are buddies or what, but I do know that you guys know who each other are because you guys both work there. So.
Yeah, we actually know. I would say that prior to Cole and I meeting for this, Mitch and I are probably getting to know each other a little bit better in a way, if it wasn't for Moose Fest. But yeah, Mitch and I are crossing paths a little more often, and actually worked a little bit side by side with one of the groups at School of Rock. So
I love that. I love that. It makes me feel a bit like a puppet master of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, and it's really cool. It's really cool because I'm like, okay, Mitch, because he's not the one who, like, he's not the guy who you reached out to, or like the main ringleader. But I'm like, so Mitch, do you know who, like, where you're performing? He's like, well, yeah, Bellevue. I'm like, oh, okay, just checking. Because what's Bellevue? Like, in French, we'd say, qu'est-ce que ça mange en hiver, ça? Like, what the heck is that?
Right.
So it's just kind of cool to say, oh yeah, I know Bellevue. I actually know Bellevue really well. That's, I kind of grew up there and went to high school there, and lots and lots and lots of memories there. So
I just thought of something. I gotta go to the school in Bellevue tomorrow for like Hagio Canada is going to be doing that interview with us tomorrow with Jennifer and myself. Okay. So I'm going to go to the school because she'll be at work. And I wonder if I could find like a class photo of you there. And I might just take a little shot of that.
Oh my God, that would be funny. Oh my gosh.
Did you graduate in Bellevue?
No, I didn't. I ended up moving to Rivier Academy in Prince Albert for grade 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So my kindergarten was actually in Dormy because that's where I'm originally from, Dormy. And then there's no school in Dormy anymore, but when they had the school, and then the French program got cut. This is what I remember. So if it's true, I'm assuming it's true, but the French program got cut in Dormy, and my parents wanted more French for us. So after my kindergarten, then they moved me to Bellevue, and I went to Bellevue from grade 1 to grade 9.
Have you heard about our new radio station? It's called Funky Moose Radio, where we play alternative and indie rock, sprinkle in some blues and Americana. We feature the music from our guests on this podcast at least once per hour. These songs can be in any genre. We're working on getting the station on every mobile app available, but the easiest way to listen is at funkymooseradio.ca. You should also become a VIP because we'll be giving away some prizes. Again, check it out at funkymooseradio.ca.
I think it would be awesome if all of you would stay after Moose Fest, like after the last band has played, and then
at 3 in the morning, you mean? I don't know.
No. And but then jam out at the gazebo with, Mitch, you, Cole, whoever else wants to join.
Yeah,
that might definitely be possible.
Could be. We got what time does the liquor license go till? Midnight, I think. So
Midnight, yep.
if I'm not mistaken, the last band will be over, I think it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like that. So that, I mean,
that's pretty early.
Well,
Okay.
it starts at 1 in the afternoon, right? So that's the
right.
full day of the music, but we got the campgrounds all weekend long.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
dangerous.
such a party. I know, right?
Dangerous because the last time not quite the last time I came down, like I still have quite a bit of family who lives in Waka as well. And the last time I came down was for my nephew's wedding. And my nieces and nephews now are of age. And hey, they've never partied with their Auntie Chris. So let's have fun.
Hell
I had
yeah.
a lot of fun. And they're going to be there at Moose Fest as well. And then I've got my two nephews coming from Victoria, coincidentally the same weekend. So I told my brothers that I'm taking his two. They're both going to be 19 already. So I'm taking them to Moose Fest. So
it's going to be, I'm so fired up about it. Like, I'm not only am I excited for the day, for the event and all the music and everything, I'm really excited for like the aftermath of it as well.
Yeah.
We're already planning next year's event already.
That's awesome.
Like, we've already got a few bands booked in.
I'm not looking forward to the day after, but the days after that, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. I'm like,
so Mark, are you on cleanup duty?
We should get more volunteers.
Yeah, no doubt. Nah, we got this. We got this.
Oh my God.
I love how it's like, it's for the expression, like it's in my backyard. Like I really feel like it's in my backyard. I can see the stage from my kitchen window. Like,
so you live right in town, Joy?
I'm like 2 doors down from the sports ground.
Wow.
And I'm all the way on the other side of town.
All the way.
So that's 3 houses down, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I tried to warn, I think I warned both Cole and Mitch that this is a very small town. Like very, very, very small town. So don't expect lots of houses. It's a small town. So just saying.
Oh yeah.
There are no sidewalks in this town. There's still no sidewalks, are there, Joy? And Mark, you live in town too, don't you?
Just around the school.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I used to have like a 3-step, not step, but I had like maybe a 6-foot sidewalk outside my house. I took out. That doesn't count though.
No,
you're right. There are no sidewalks in Bellevue.
You know, it's a small town when
and gravel roads.
Yeah.
But it's also, when it's a small town, when you let your 6-year-old just bike to the other side of town.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, I know Bellevue very, 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 very well. I even worked at Le Rendezvous, like when it was, when it was Le Rendezvous. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. So when I moved to Rivier Academy, for my high school, I got a job in Bellevue. And for my grade 12, my parents plus 3 other couples, so 4 of us girls were going to Rivier Academy, and instead of traveling back and forth, our parents got us an apartment. So we all lived together for our grade 12 year. But what would happen is that we would come back on weekends. I would work 12-hour shift on Saturday and then a 12-hour shift on Sunday, and then head back to PA. It was a little busy,
Crazy.
Yeah. So,
the shit we do for our kids. What I mean is like renting the apartment.
Yeah.
And then putting you on a 12-hour shift on the weekends.
Yeah, renting that apartment, is I think is pretty epic for any parent to do for their kid. Definitely.
Was that
very cool?
Was that in PA, the apartment?
Yep.
Oh.
I think it's considered now one of the very bad parts of town, but I'd like to believe that it wasn't so bad when we were living there.
Right. It's because you guys aren't there. That's why it might be the
Yeah, it
bad.
went downhill
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we are the sunshine, right?
Yes.
after.
Yes, exactly.
Get it? Downhill.
No.
West Flats is downhill.
Is it
Down the hill.
down the hill?
Down the hill. Take a
Yeah, I
left.
get it.
Is that a PA thing?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I think what Mark's making reference to is I call downtown is at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
And then what's uptown?
Yeah.
Uptown.
Yeah.
Uptown.
Yeah.
That's South
Yeah.
Hill.
South Hill.
Whatever.
Okay. Yeah. That kind of felt like a squirrel moment there, Mark. But that's okay.
Note to self.
It was.
Note
I
to self.
totally knew what he was talking about. I'm just fucking with him.
Yeah, note to
That's
self,
all.
don't make smart jokes.
Okay.
Get it.
You kind of made me feel very nice and relaxed, Joelle, when you said, I don't know what you're talking about. And you were joking.
I was.
I don't feel comfortable with you anymore.
Oh, come on. No, it was because
My trust. You broke my trust, man.
oh, come on. I have all the trust. I have all the trust to give.
This is fun. This is kind of weird being with Joelle, like honestly, because Joelle,
Right.
Bellevue, that goes back to like elementary.
It
We're
does,
not in
right?
elementary school anymore, Joelle, right? Like we're adulting. We have kids. We live on our own. We're like that just blows my mind.
But we still feel like we're that age again, though. Like, don't you? I know I do. I totally do, man.
Like Cole, for example. Cole is young enough probably to be my son.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm Cole's age though, but
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yes.
Like I think he'd probably be super uncomfortable right now if he was here because I'm like, oh yeah, and he's like, oh, you're just like a mom. Okay, very awkward.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. It's like there's a lot of musicians that I've hung around with lately that are so much younger than I am. And it's like when I tell them how old I am, like I get the bug-eyed
Yeah.
looks like, holy shit.
I
know?
actually had the conversation with Evan from Northern Royals day before yesterday, because it was his birthday the other day.
Right.
So
Happy
we were talking,
birthday, Evan.
yeah, we were
belated.
talking about his age, and he's 10 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
He was like, well, at least we look the same age. And I was like, you mean you look old?
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah. I know, right? So what does that say about you, Evan?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So
For sure.
weird. So weird
Yeah.
aging.
It is. It's definitely just a physical thing.
It's a number.
Yeah.
Age is a
Yeah.
number.
Hell yeah. Oh man.
That's
But
good.
yes, staying out till 5-6 in the morning isn't
Yeah.
it's not that fun anymore. It's not that that's not fun. That's great. It's the next day when I've got
You know what?
responsibilities and stuff. It's like
Absolutely. Like you have to adjust. Like when you have kids, you have to adjust that lifestyle. You have no choice but to become a morning person if you weren't before. So you become a morning person. And I find that, and it doesn't happen all that often, like playing really late. With my duo, we actually play fairly early. Like I just finished a show before this recording. I had a show and we finished at 6:30. We were from 4:30 to 6:30.
nice.
Over a supper at a restaurant. But like staying super, super late, if it was to happen, yes, definitely doable every so often. But the next day, and I'm talking no drinking involved. But the next day, I really don't want to sleep like half the day because I've wasted half the day.
Yeah.
But when I wake up, I feel totally hungover.
Yeah.
Like I've had tons to drink, and I'm talking, I really didn't have anything to drink.
Yeah.
So it's just
can
weird.
relate.
That's what aging does.
I know, right? For
I
sure.
hate that.
Yeah. How did the set go this evening? Where were you playing?
Yeah, well, just a small local eatery at Meld, neighborhood eatery, and yeah, they're fairly consistent with hiring us, so that it's a nice, comfortable place, and yeah, just a few people came in. It was actually quite quiet tonight, whereas previous weeks we've actually gotten the place fairly busy. So
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice and chill, and got to practice for our next show on Thursday. And yeah, we just got a couple more shows this week. And
freaking right.
Yeah.
Do you do all your booking yourself, or can you walk me through that process a little bit?
I would say it's kind of Fred is my musician, regularly, so my regular musician, and I do a lot of the bookings, but he will do the bookings as well. When we first got together, we're like, what would be our goal? So like I said at the beginning of our interview here, or our podcast, it's not an interview, this is a podcast, we're having fun here. What would be our goal? You know, like, we both have families, we both have full-time jobs, by the way. So I have a full-time job, plus I work at School of Rock, plus I do my music.
Right.
So it's pretty busy, crazy, hectic. And it's like, okay, well, do we have a goal in mind? We should have some kind of a goal in mind. It's like, okay, well, why don't we aim for like one show a month? Well, hell, that's a lot more than I was doing before. So yeah, one show a month. Too great, but no, let's aim consistent one a month. Perfect. So we started doing that, but very quickly it became like easily 2 shows a month. Easily 2 shows a month from almost the get-go. And it's like, okay, so we're surpassing our goal already. So that's absolutely fantastic. So, 12 shows a year, not a lot, but 24 shows a year. It's like, okay. But yeah, it's fairly easy, and it's just a matter of us reaching out to local places. And I mean, because of our lives that we have outside of our gigs, we kind of have to keep it fairly local. And we're absolutely happy with that. But every so often we'll go traveling a little bit. So like this week we'll be on July 1st. We're heading out to Prince Albert to do a 30-minute French set.
Nice.
Heading out there, and then same day we're driving right back after the show is done. So yeah.
Right. Where
we always book our own.
Where in Prince Albert are you doing the set? Because I just saw something today I'll get into it.
I think I was tagging it. I was tagging it just this afternoon. It's through the Prince Albert Multicultural Council, and it's their Canada Day celebrations on something Douglas Arena.
Okay.
On exhibition.
Near the exhibition grounds kind of thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got the address. I've got the address in my phone already. So I'm like, GPS, please. Yeah. But yeah, we book all of our own stuff. And this past June has been crazy. We're talking 2 to 3 shows per week.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh, that's more than the 24 per year that you planned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So June has kicked us in the teeth big time, like exhausted. My husband's like, Chris, you're never home. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's how it goes.
It's so much fun though.
It is. Well, that's the thing. And he understands. And School of Rock is the same thing. It's like, it's music. That's part of my blood. Heck, I even got a tattoo. Where's my tattoo? I even got a tattoo of a microphone. And the cord, I wanted the cord to kind of look like it wrapped around my wrist. And it goes like it's pumping into my veins. So yeah, that's the symbolism of music for me. So anything to do with music is just yes.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I freaking love it.
Yeah.
So your husband is supportive? I mean, you can throw money.
Husband is very supportive, and thanks to him, I mean, it's because of him that I was able to keep my French. I mean, Joelle, you're an example as well. We're born and raised in Saskatchewan, small town Saskatchewan. French is kind of that, almost like that primary language that's what it is in school. At home, my parents tried to push the French all the time because they knew that you have to work on it. And after high school, I mean, that French was going out the door. Yeah. It's so easy to lose a language. Like if you don't use it, you lose it. Absolutely.
100%. I try. Okay. So my son, he's 7 years old right now. going to Bellevue school, and he's coming home, and in my head I'll like spit a couple French sentences at him and he replies and stuff, and I can see this happening very quickly. He's going into grade 2 next year, where he's gonna know more French than I will. Like I'm on like Mark's side here. Like you can talk to me French all day long, I'll understand exactly what you're saying, but to reply to you in French, I think in English first. So it takes me a little bit longer to process it and pronounce everything properly, and I'll stutter in French and stuff like that. But whereas my brother, I've got an older brother, where
I went to school with him.
Exactly. So he thinks in French and then he'll reply in English. Right.
Really?
But yeah, so his French is a lot better than mine. But when we left Bellevue school, I was when was I? Was going into grade 4. So I finished grade 3 in Bellevue school, and then went to an English school where they still had French, but it was like, what do you call that? Like core French or
immersion?
Immersion. Yeah.
No, it wasn't immersion.
No,
core, maybe it was core French.
Yeah, I remember there being like core and enriched French is what they were calling it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the French I was taking in grade 4 in this new school was the same French. No, the French I took in grade 9 in this new school was the same French I took in grade 3 in Bellevue.
Yeah.
So I was like, like
I know this already.
I know this. This is easy breezy, right? So there wasn't anything there for me to like learn. Do you know what I mean? That's how I remember it. Don't quote me on all that. I've done a lot of drinking and a lot of drugs, but that's how I remember that. Is like the French that was available to me in that other school, it had no comparison to Bellevue school. So but like I said, Kemper's French is like very close to surpassing mine already.
So my first language is Dutch, and I've been here since 2008, so that's 14 years almost. So I speak and think in English now. Now my parents are here for 3 weeks, and I consciously have to make the switch to talk in Dutch to them.
Right.
And then today, my son was home all day, and he doesn't speak Dutch. So switching languages as you're speaking to two people almost at the same time, it takes practice.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I mean, speaking in Dutch, I mean, I still know everything, but you know, the last 14 years, I've learned things that I don't even know the Dutch word for at all. So I'm trying to explain this with hand and feet to my dad.
There's that small town Bellevue talking there.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So then I explain to him in English, or I say the English word, and he looks at me. So like, for example, we were at the rental house, and we, you know, when you build a house, it has to be up to code. There's no translation for that in Dutch. So I was talking about some electricity, whatever, and I was like, I tried to explain to him how that code would work, and he was kind of like, well,
it has to be at a certain level, certain standard, certain rules to follow.
And he kind of mentioned a word, and I was like, yeah, that's close enough. We'll go with that.
Yeah, sure. That reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you earlier. You were saying something about translating some songs into French. How that must be difficult to do, because if they're a common song already and you're translating that into French, like how do you make sure that like lyrically it fits and like with the rhythm and everything?
Okay, so I haven't done a whole bunch of it, but in preparation for this show that we were hired to do in Saskatoon, I'm like, okay, no, need to deliver. It's important. We've been wanting to really broaden our repertoire, our French repertoire. So it's like, okay, search. Actually, Fred did way more research than I did, because I work more day jobs than Fred, I guess you could say. So he had more time to look for that. So the English guy is looking for French songs that we're already doing in English. So for him, it's a lot less work, because musically it's the same thing, right? So if he can find it in French, then he'll quickly send it to me. He's like, I think I found this in French. So I look at it, I'm like, no, it's just subtitles. So it doesn't always work. So if it's just a subtitle, then no, that's just a direct translation. It's not a musical translation. So coming back to your question, Joelle, it's you can do one of two things. You can keep you can respect the whole story of the song. You can, use very similar words. Sometimes it's just the structure of the sentence that kind of switches a little bit. Sometimes rhyming has to go out the door. Sometimes it works. So you have to be okay with kind of making those exceptions. I found some translations that were done like in France, and I'm like, what the hell are they saying?
Right.
So so there's this one song. It was done by, oh my gosh, Francis Cabrel. Francis Cabrel is from France. And he does this song that we do in English, but it's based on like a region in France. So the names of the places, like in English, the names of the places are in the US, which I don't know neither, but I'm familiar with it now. But so the song that I'm assuming that he translated it or somebody out in France translated it. But of course, they're changing the names to something that's known out in France.
Right.
So, for example, the Tallahatchie Bridge. So Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Marc-Antoine a sauté de la Garonne. What the hell is a Garonne? That's the name of the river out there, but out here that means absolutely nothing. So, I mean, there are some people who follow me who are from France, so they'll understand that, but a lot of people won't. I'll still do it.
Yeah.
Now, as for some of the other translations that I've found, I did have to tweak some of them because I don't know, just like the way that maybe that Fred and I have arranged the songs that we do, musically, it just wasn't working. It was like there were too many words and it just wasn't making sense. So I just kind of restructured that translation to make it work for us.
Yes.
So that's been going very well. And then I think it's kind of luck also, like the one song, it's a Ray Charles song. Hallelujah, I Love Him So. Let me tell you about a boy I know.
Yeah, okay.
He's my baby and he lives next door. So I don't know, it just kind of hit me all of a sudden and I'm like, kind of started writing a couple little words. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Put it aside. And then just poof, another idea. I'm like, oh, okay, let's write this. And all of a sudden I've got the song. I'm like, wow, I don't know how that happened. So it's not something that I do all the time, but it's like if it works, then like it's working quite well. So yeah, some of the songs for the show at Moose Fest, some of the songs that I'm doing with Cole have been translated, not by me, but have been translated. So like the song Zombie by the Cranberries, we're doing it in French.
Oh, that's going to be so lit.
What is
I
zombie
love
in
that
French?
thing. Same thing.
Oh.
Zombie.
All right.
So yes. Yeah. I like that song. So I learned how to like flip my voice, like zombie, that flipping.
Yeah.
I learned with that song. So this is the first time that I'm actually going to be able to perform this song. I don't even know that I've ever done a karaoke, but I've sung it in my car so many times, and I'm just so excited to actually perform it finally. And Cole just kills it on the guitar. It sounds amazing on electric guitar, and even just the simplicity. And Cole and I communicate very well musically, in a sense that we don't have like, when I say communicate musically, it's like we're listening to each other and you're kind of sensing each other's vibes and the dynamics in a song. So like with Zombie, you're starting soft. While I'm not telling Cole to play soft, he's not telling me to sing soft. We're just we're following each other's vibe with that. So with the dynamics. And then all of a sudden in the chorus, it's like, what's in your head? So we're just going. And then after that, it's like, oh, you pull back. and then the ending, it's like, okay, go, and then we pull back. We've never discussed that. We just do. And yeah, so there's a really there's a good communication there without actually communicating. That's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Hell, I'm so excited for all of that.
Yeah. So this is actually, Cole told me this, and I'm sure it's going to be fine to say this, but this is actually really pushing him outside of his comfort zone. So like I was saying at the beginning of this podcast, is that this is something new, but at the same time, it's not too new. So like the duo thing, the stripped down versions of things, I've been doing that for almost 6 years now. So that's not the new part. The new part is that, okay, this is an electric guitar. It's not acoustic. Right. It's not the double bass. It's like, this is slightly different. We're doing rock songs, still doing covers. So my bass player and I just do covers. And we're actually loving this, doing covers, absolutely loving it, because people know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So now with Cole, well, Cole is not used to doing the stripped down thing. So I'm really pushing him outside of his comfort zone as well. So he's like, okay, so there's nobody there to strum the accompaniment if I'm to just like shred a solo here. Nope. So you got to do something else. And what I realized as well is that you have to be comfortable and confident with what you're doing. So if somebody is not a great player or not a great singer, playing stripped down versions and just a duo may not be the greatest thing, because if I make a mistake, you guys are going to hear it.
You can't hide.
You can't, exactly. With a band, you can fluff off lots of things in a band. I mean, a lot of things. Somebody else can kind of carry you through a tough spot or a hiccup here and there. But when you're a duo, you're naked pretty much.
Yep,
and you have to be confident and comfortable with that.
For sure. 100%. Because then otherwise you're stuck in your head. Like if you're singing, if it's just you and the bass is going and you fudge up a word, or maybe you didn't hit the right note or anything, you got to push through that. Because if you're trying to sing the rest of the song and all you can think of in your head is, I just fucked that up.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the song is gonna be messed up too, because you just gotta let it go. Just keep going, man. Just push through it.
I don't think you have to tell her.
No, I know, but I'm telling for those of you watching and listening, like
you're preaching to the choir.
How often are you and Cole like getting together and working on the set for August?
We get together once a week.
Nice.
So depending on my schedule, it'll either be a Monday, like right now we're on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday we get together. And then I'm hoping to get in a few extra practices as well, just to make sure that we're fine-tuning things as we go. And and I mean, something in the near future is probably going to happen where we'll have to maybe change a date or whatnot. But yeah, definitely once a week for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's going well so far.
Man, I'm excited to see it.
Oh, as am I. Like just when we first talked, Christie-Anne, and you were like, I think I know a guy that you might know. And then when we right, and we're talking about Cole, it was just like, fuck yes. If you guys want to do this together, like this would be so outrageous. I love the concept, the idea of it. I'm excited for it. I can't.
Oh, cool thing about Cole and I, when we were both at School of Rock, my hair is actually quite short. I recently cut it. I've been growing my hair out since 1996. So my hair was like super, super long, always at the, my lower back. I've always been known for my really long curly hair. And recently I took my scissors and just started cutting my hair, because that happens sometimes. So anyways, prior to me cutting my hair, Cole and I had like extremely similar hair. So at one of our staff parties at School of Rock, I can't find those pictures though. Maybe that's a good thing, because a lot of wine was involved, I think. But anyways, that's besides the point. But a few pictures of us with like our hair and in some of our shows, because School of Rock will do a lot of old rock and roll, like I would backcomb the crap out of my hair, and it was awesome. It was freaking awesome. But Cole has curl as well to his hair. But yeah, I told like when we were doing our show at School of Rock with the teachers, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Cole is like my biggest competition for hair right now. And so yeah.
Heck yeah. He
we used to be twinsies with our hair.
Cole can be in a shampoo commercial.
He should. Yeah, there you go.
He could.
Yeah,
he totally could.
Yeah.
I agree. For sure.
Pantene, hook us up.
Pantene. I was thinking like Pert Plus or something. No, this is awesome. I do want to tell you, Christie-Anne, that we love and respect the shit out of you. Appreciate you coming to hang out with us this evening. And I want you to know that the door is always open for you. Please, I want to keep that invitation out there. You come back anytime. Come shoot the shit with us. We love to hear what's going on. How about we come back after Moose Fest and we can talk about how it was.
And I think that would be cool. And then maybe if we plan, you guys kind of check out what Fred and I do, and then maybe we'll plan with that. Then I'll actually have Fred, because he's quite the character as well. He would entertain you guys quite a bit.
I would love that. I would love that 100%.
Yeah, and if Funky Moose can do anything for you, just let me know.
Yeah,
let us know.
Excellent. Well, you guys are fantastic. Been very honored to be able to be on your show. Again, this is my first podcast.
With that, like I said, the door is always open, Christie-Anne. I think what we'll do is we'll say goodbye to the watchers and listeners out there. And we do want you back. You and Fred, you guys come hang out with us. I want to hear all about it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. I can't wait to see you guys back at our old stomping grounds.
Hell yeah. Hell yes.
Awesome.
This has been fantastic.
For sure.
Excellent, you guys.
You stick around with us here too. So bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.